Beautiful.
We're rolling.
They're rolling.
We'll just trim it.
Yeah, rolling.
All right. Let's
Action, yes.
welcome Con.
Thanks for having me back, Jim. Always good to be here.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
We're here another podcast.
Yes,
I believe it's the 8th or 9th or
yes, some 8th or 9th. It's
lost count.
yes.
Yes. How's it all going?
Causing lots of
How's the
trouble
wheels?
online. That's good.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
And the good thing is, like, so far, lots of ad hominem, but no one's really pushed back on any of the stuff, like academically or our arguments.
Yeah. Are there any examples where they've actually not pushed back, but given you, have you considered this or that?
Well, what tends to happen is and maybe I should cover, like the stuff we introduced the first few podcasts. It's more introductory, laying the foundation.
Yeah.
So they jump straight into Muhammad and the Quran and all that stuff.
Sure.
And for everybody, we will get to Muhammad and the Quran in later podcasts. We'll take a deep dive into whether the Muhammad of the standard Islamic narrative existed, right? And spoiler alert, the evidence suggests that he didn't.
Yeah.
There might have been other Muhammads, but not that Muhammad.
Right.
And we'll take a deep dive into the Quran. So, but they want to do that. So we've had to respond a bit. Yeah. But generally what happens is it ends up diverting.
Okay.
Like we make a point and then they will go off on some tangent wanting to talk about Jesus or the Gospels or whatever. And we have to say in the comments, with all due respect, engage with the argument.
Yeah.
And then there might be
Don't divert,
then there might be a few expletives and all that sort of stuff. So we always put a smiley face
to
at it. And yes, that's fine. No, it's all fun.
Okay. So last time we spoke about Mecca.
Just to also, and maybe the most technical thing we got to is the Birmingham manuscript, which we'll get to. No one's pushed back. That they've brought it as evidence.
Yeah.
It's almost like, we have a Quran from the time of Muhammad. We show how it isn't. We don't need that. So in other words, we'll try this argument.
And how did that come to be? What led to the Birmingham?
Well, because we were talking about the fact that the Islamic sources were 300 years later. So some Muslims says, we don't need to worry about that. We don't need the Hadith because we've got a Quran from the time of Muhammad.
Okay.
Which we then showed, and they quoted the Birmingham Quran. We showed that doesn't work.
Yeah.
And with all the other problem they've got is that, remember we talked about that you can't be a Muslim without the Hadith, without the Sunnah.
Yeah, you need the Quran and the Hadith.
And the Sunnah, because the Sunnah teaches you how to interpret the Quran. The Quran on its own, you can't really be a practicing. There's no Muslim, like the details of Muslim theology don't really come from the Quran.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is a bit different from the Bible because we don't want to look at commentaries, or we don't want to rely on them as we want to.
That's right. I ask
scripture.
Yeah, whether you're a Catholic, whether you're a Protestant, doesn't really matter. Do you think that if all you had was the Bible, would you know enough about Jesus and know enough about Christian doctrine to basically become a Christian?
Yeah.
You would, wouldn't you?
Yes, yeah.
Put aside the Catholic traditions. I mean, Protestants have their traditions too, right?
Yeah.
You don't need that stuff to know enough. The Bible is all you need to become a Christian. With a Muslim, it doesn't work like that. The Quran, you can't really be a practicing Muslim, whether you're Sunni or Shia, without their Hadith.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, that's... and today,
what are we doing?
Mate, we're talking about Mecca again.
Yeah, more Mecca.
More Mecca.
All right. Why are we doing more Mecca?
Yeah, you're probably getting a bit frustrated, Jim. You're probably let's get into the meaty stuff.
It's all good. Everything's good.
Yeah,
more information.
Yeah, but
all the better.
I can imagine some Muslims might be saying, or some Christians might be saying, "Why are you guys wasting so much time on Mecca?"
Okay.
Well, I think personally that Mecca is their biggest Achilles heel. Now. Do you remember in one of our previous podcasts we're having a bit of dialogue and I think it was the archaeology and you said this is a big problem.
Uh-huh.
You remember that?
Yeah. Just the location.
Yeah, and so why is it such a big problem for the Islamic narrative? Why do you think Mecca is such a big problem for the Islamic narrative?
I mean, it is an integral part of the narrative.
Yeah.
In
what way?
I mean, Mecca. The claim is that Mecca was the mother city.
Yep.
And the root of the Islamic faith. And,
That's right.
And they got the Kaaba there.
Yeah, and
Muhammad.
That's it.
Yes.
That's it. See, Muhammad was born there.
Born there, yeah.
Right? So if you're going to, like, if the Muslim is going to claim that they have historical evidence for the Islamic Muhammad, the Muhammad of the sin, the Muslim Muhammad, where was he born?
Yeah, Mecca.
Mecca. So there has to be evidence for Mecca. When was he born? Remember the historical claims, you know? When was he born? He was born, do you remember?
571.
570, that's right. And he died in?
632.
Very good, very good.
Yeah.
So he was born 570, 632.
Yeah.
So Mecca had to have existed in the 6th and 7th centuries.
Sure.
Okay, for that to be true. So if there's no evidence for Mecca in that time, right, then there couldn't have been a Muhammad from Mecca in that time, could there?
No.
And therefore, the Quran couldn't have come from that Muhammad in that time. See how it's a cascading...
Yeah.
Mecca's the foundation. In a lot of people think...
And Mecca is mentioned only a few times in the Quran?
That's
4
right.
Times,
Once.
One time, yeah.
Once. Interestingly, and something this is maybe a bit of an aside, but we didn't actually cover... Another way to read it is Bakka, the Valley of Bakka. Now, there's actually a psalm, I think it's Psalm 83 or Psalm 84, where it talks about the Valley of Bakka on your way to pilgrimage. Bakka means weeping.
Okay.
On the way to pilgrimage to Jerusalem. Remember we covered the Jerusalem thesis in that video?
Yeah.
Right? So that's a rabbit trail. But Mecca's once in the Quran only. All right? Yeah. And the last video we saw is the Islamic sources, what they talk about the holy city is not like the Mecca of today.
Sure.
Mecca of Saudi Arabia, is it?
We discussed that in the last one,
And we found that all the written sources from Greek sources, Roman sources, remember, 3rd century BC, 4th century BC, 3rd century BC, 2nd century BC, 1st century AD, 2nd century AD, no mention of Mecca.
Yeah.
And these geographers went all around the Arabian Peninsula, no mention of Mecca.
Sure.
Archaeology from 1000 BC all the way to, the 5th century or 4th century, no mention of Mecca.
Right. Yeah.
Right? And remember, there is one mention of Mecca, the first mention of Mecca outside of the Islamic narrative was AD 741. Right? Yeah. And was that in Saudi Arabia? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
No, it wasn't actually. It was in southern Turkey.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And there was another possible mention of Mecca from my good friend Mel in the Sinai Peninsula. And then we saw how, the Islamic sources say that Abraham went to Mecca. Okay. But Abraham lived in 1,000 k's away and all those sorts of things. And that the holy city was north of Medina, whereas Mecca south of Medina. So we saw all those problems.
Yeah.
Now today we're going to tackle, and this will be several podcasts, but we're going to tackle some other problems that are unique to Mecca, right? Because in the other 5 torpedoes we have sort of similar torpedoes, like we have the torpedo of eyewitness testimony, we have the torpedo of archaeology, the torpedo of contemporary written sources, and the torpedo of textual criticism, and we apply that to Muhammad and the Quran and to Mecca. But this torpedo, this 5th one for Mecca, is different. It's unique to Mecca.
Okay.
So we're going to cover that.
Yeah,
so
let's get into it.
The Meccan problems.
Okay.
Okay. Right. So yeah.
Good. Yeah. All right. Let's get into it then.
Let's go. Okay. Well, the first problem, I call it the Meccan foreign problem.
Right.
Now, do you know what I mean by the Meccan foreign problem?
No.
No. Okay.
Explain. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the why I call it the Meccan foreign problem is because there are many aspects of both the Quran and if the Quran was actually generated in Mecca, at least the first half of it was. Remember, according to the Sin, the Quran was given to Muhammad in 2 stages. Yeah. When he was in Mecca from 610 to 622. Then in Medina from 622 to 632. Okay. Right. And if it's roughly, very roughly down the the first half of the Quran chronologically, when you look, because it's arranged from the longest verses to the shortest verses. So the first half is from Medina, the second half of the Quran is from Mecca, roughly. It's not 100% like that, but when you look at those, all those things it talks about, it doesn't talk like it. Thinking it's hard to get your head around how someone could be writing about those things in a place called Mecca.
Okay.
The things it talks about are completely foreign.
Okay.
That's why I call it the Meccan foreign problem. Okay.
Okay.
So the first thing, for example, and feel free to ask me questions along the way. Firstly, what do you think is that would be a big problem for Mecca? Like if we got all this foreign stuff.
You don't want what's written in the Quran to be incorrect.
That's right. Because for the Muslim, the Quran is the
that's the first. In fact, they say the Bible is corrupted.
Yes.
And they say what's in the Quran is perfect.
Perfect. Yeah.
So
perfect from
this
Allah.
Is a direct. Yeah.
It's perfectly preserved tablets in heaven.
Yeah.
It's a perfect copy of it, and it's been perfectly preserved. Now, in our video, spoiler alert, in our videos on the Quran, we're going to show that it hasn't been perfectly preserved. But so
it's a different.
So whatever it says, it should be accurate and correct, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So if you found all of this stuff in the Quran and that talked about stuff that was completely foreign to Mecca,
outside of Mecca,
of Mecca, like not just.
That's a concern, yes.
And when I say outside of Mecca, we're not talking about like 100 kilometers outside of Mecca.
So we're talking about geography, we're talking about just characteristics of the city.
we're talking about things that you'd only see
just
like
location.
1,000 k's away. Like for example, there are verses in the Quran that talk about, so remember, the Quran is like a preacher preaching to an audience. This is the way to think of the Quran.
Yeah.
You don't find a lot of narrative in it. There's a few stories like the story of Joseph, etc. I think it's chapter 12, which is a narrative. But it tends to jump around all over the place. Okay, and a lot of it is like, oh, you prophet, oh, you people of the book, oh, you whatever. So in other words, you got a preacher.
Yeah, it's a bit like Sermon on the Mount.
Yeah, a bit like that. It's a bit like a sermon. A person talking to an audience.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, for example, do you think if Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount was talking to people about rice paddies, right, and not cobras, I want to think rice paddies and bison, right? Do you think we would have some problems with that if he was talking about rice paddies?
Okay, because they don't exist in that area.
Exactly.
In Galilee.
That's right. There are no rice,
it's dry, right?
Yeah. Well,
I haven't been to the Holy Land.
Okay, well, let me use a different example. Let's say Jesus was talking about, you've seen the samurai, right? You've seen the samurai walking down, right? That would be a problem, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Were there any samurai in the Holy Land?
No,
they're Japanese.
Far from Japan. Yeah.
That's right. You see,
sure.
That kind of is what I'm talking about.
Yep.
So, and we see in the Bible that all the things that Jesus talks about is stuff that you would see in the Holy Land.
Yeah.
Right? So, what about the Quran? We see in chapter 7, it talks about people who violate the Sabbath by fishing in a town by the sea. Okay? Is Mecca anywhere near the ocean?
No.
No, it isn't. Okay? In chapter 36, it talks about the opponents of the Prophet that are basically cultivating grain and grapes. Right? Grain and grapes.
Okay.
Now, to grow grain, you need a lot of pasture land, don't you?
Right, yeah.
You can't grow that in like a desert oasis. You might get dates from like a desert palm or a date palm, but not grain.
Yeah.
And not grapes. Chapter 6 talks about grapevines, olives, and pomegranates. Desert dwellers that just around there, would they even know what an olive tree was?
No.
Because what we know about olives is you need a winter chill. It grows around the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't grow down there. Now, people might say, but we've got olive trees down today in Mecca. Yeah, because of all technology and the water that the Saudi government has pumped into that area that's artificial. We'll get to that in another video, right? Chapter 6 talks about them raising livestock and crops.
Mm-hmm.
All right? And yet they were supposed to be Bedouins and camel herders. Right? Chapter 18, grapevines and gardens.
Mm-hmm.
Again, chapter 16, olive trees, palm trees, crops and grapevines. And so to have any type of agriculture with cattle and sheep, I mean, we've got sheep and cattle in this country, eh?
Yeah.
How much land and grassland a man who's raising cattle, can he do it on 10 acres?
No.
No.
Needs a lot. Yeah.
He needs 1,000 acres sometimes to do it properly, right? If he's going to have cattle and grain.
Yeah.
So we're not talking, this is a big problem. We're not talking about a little backyard veggie patch.
Yeah.
You need a farm.
Yeah.
So
the land needs to not be a desert.
That's right.
Desert, yeah.
It needs to have enough water supply. It needs to be natural pasture land.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, there's nothing like that in Mecca, naturally speaking.
Okay.
All right. And we know that because there are soil that you can do studies of soil and pollen and spores.
Mm-hmm.
And Dan Gibson, in his book Quranic Geography, page 234, says he actually looked at those studies, and there's no evidence because the soil and spores can tell you what happened in the past. A bit like ice cores when they dig in the Antarctic.
Okay.
The layers can tell you what was there in the past.
Right.
No evidence that there was any kind of trees and that kind of vegetation in ancient times.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's a quote, and I'm going to read a couple of quotes from Stephen Shoemaker in Creating the Quran. Page 234, he talks about the fact that he notes that, this is Gibson, his quote. Gibson notes that Mecca's average rainfall per year is only 110 millimeters. Okay? So between 8 and 13 centimeters.
Right.
The whole year.
The whole year. Okay.
11 centimeters a whole year.
Yeah.
Okay. With its high desert temperatures and barren conditions, this is scarcely enough to grow any vegetation at all, let alone enough food to support a large population, unquote. That's Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
Shoemaker in Creating the Quran, page 230, he also talks about that the intensive agriculture of the opponents of the Prophet is not compatible with Mecca's arid location, which had a very poor water supply and between 60 to 70 millimeters of rainfall each year, most of it coming in the winter months when it would cause flooding. Okay, we'll get to that later in the video. Mecca tends to flash flood. As a matter of fact, 2024, there were floods washing cars away, which we'll get to in a later podcast, right?
Yeah.
You can see it online. Now, here's something I want to point out to. These two scholars, Gibson and Shoemaker, are not people who disagree with the historical Muhammad.
Okay.
They're actually relatively sympathetic to parts of the Islamic narrative. They don't believe all of it. So they're not complete revisionist, like Muhammad mythicists, like some people might claim.
Yeah.
And yet the fact that they're saying that, even though they're sympathetic to parts of the Islamic narrative, is a bigger problem.
Yeah.
Because if you had a scholar that was really totally against all aspects of the Islamic narrative, you might say, "Oh, that guy's just
Sure. Yeah.
He's got an excessive bias." But these two scholars are saying the same thing, and they're not against aspects of the Islamic narrative. They don't believe all of it, but they dispute a lot of it. And so I guess at the end of the day, a clear reading of these Quranic passages. Let me ask you this. When you look at those Quranic passages, do you think that the preacher was talking to Bedouins in the desert environment?
No.
No, because they wouldn't have known what fishing was.
Right.
Or pomegranates or olive trees.
Sure.
But is it possible that he was talking to people in an environment northwest, somewhere around, Jordan, and where there were rivers and things like that? Is it,
more likely?
More likely. That's right. So again, we're seeing another theme. Remember, we saw that from the Islamic sources, from the holy city that was north of Mecca. So this is showing a similar pattern, and I want the audience to see that. You're going to see this theme coming out a lot. It's north, north, north. It's not Mecca.
Right.
Okay. So so that's the foreign industry problem.
Okay.
So we've got another foreign problem. Okay, a foreign vocabulary problem.
Yeah.
Now, again, why is that a problem, Jim? What do you think? If the Quran is using words that wouldn't have been known to people in Mecca, do you think that? I mean,
Yeah.
Is that? Do you think that's a problem?
So I would imagine it's all written in Arabic. They're all Arabic words.
Yeah, it should be.
Full stop.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go back to our Jesus analogy. If there were words there written in, say, Latin.
Sure.
Maybe not Latin, Jesus, because the Romans conquered the area.
If there were different authors coming from,
But let's say it was just Jesus speaking in the Sermon on the Mount, right? And let's say there were words in there that were Sanskrit or Indian.
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, that's something went wrong somewhere.
Yeah, something went wrong somewhere, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I'm picking those languages, maybe 1,000 k's away, right? Because there are Aramaic words in the Gospels.
Yeah.
But Jesus spoke Aramaic, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
That was
that was his language.
Written in Greek.
Yeah.
If there were Latin words in the Gospels, I wouldn't have a problem with that. Because who spoke Latin?
Paul?
No, Latin.
Oh, Latin. Yeah.
Yeah, who spoke Latin? Which people spoke Latin?
The Romans.
The Romans, who were running Palestine at the time of Jesus.
Yeah.
The Romans.
In the same location.
Yeah. See, the governor was Pontius Pilate. Was he a Jew? Or was he a Roman?
He was a Roman.
He was a Roman, right? You see? And if you see the movie The Passion of the Christ, what Mel Gibson did really well is he showed how...
He kept the languages.
Yeah, he showed how the Pharisees were speaking Aramaic to each other, and when they were speaking to Pilate, they were speaking in Latin to him.
Right, yeah.
See, so again,
sure.
Now, foreign vocabulary is a problem. There's a guy named Arthur Jeffrey, an Aussie, okay, 1938, this goes back nearly 100 years. Okay, his publication, it's really important still, The Foreign Vocabulary of the Quran by Arthur Jeffrey. He found there were more than 300 words from dozens of other languages that would have been unknown to Bedouins in the Hijaz, in Mecca and Medina.
Yeah.
Now, he found that the words were taken from Aramaic, Syriac, Hebrew, Gez, which is ancient Ethiopic, and also Sabaic, South Arabian. Interestingly, 75% of these words were from Syriac, Aramaic, and Hebrew. Now, those regions are nearly 1,000 k's northwest of Mecca.
Yeah.
Now, you might argue that they could have possibly, heard some of these words, but would the Bedouins have understood them?
No.
And would they have been able to write them down, especially if they were illiterate? No. So, and so that's a big problem. So the question is, how do we explain this? How do we explain these foreign words?
Yeah.
Well, there's a scholar called Nikolai Sinai, who's, anyone who follows in Islamic studies and Quranic studies would have heard of. And what he says is, he suggests that the foreign terms reveal that the Quran at some point and to some extent had, quote, profound linguistic contact with the Fertile Crescent.
Okay.
Now, do you know what the Fertile Crescent refers to?
No.
No, okay, I'll just write. The Fertile Crescent refers to... It's a
location.
Shape, and that's a crescent shape.
Yeah.
Okay, the Fertile Crescent refers to... You got Egypt down here.
Yeah.
With its Nile Valley.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you got the River Jordan going between the Sea of Galilee and and the Dead Sea. So that's all fertile. Going around to Mesopotamia between the two rivers. See how it's a crescent shape?
Sure. Yeah.
So in ancient, in antiquity, they used to call that the Fertile Crescent.
Okay.
Arabia, which is south of that, is a desert. But you see those rivers called it fertile. Yeah. So what Sinai is saying is that the Quran had linguistic contact with Egypt, with Jordan, Palestine, Israel, and Mesopotamia. Right? And Shoemaker says this, quote, "The Quran therefore developed within a context that was permeated with the language and cultures of Judeo-Christian Syro-Palestine and Mesopotamia. Is this a good fit with Mecca and Yathrib in the early 7th century? No. Not so much, it would seem, at least judging from the evidence that is presently available."
Yeah.
What is he saying there? He's saying the Quran's got all these links with, Syro-Palestine and Mesopotamia. And is that a good fit with Mecca and Medina?
No.
No. You see? So what we're doing here, and I'll liken what we're doing within these podcasts to it's a bit like a boxing match.
Yeah.
You know, we're firing jab after jab after jab after jab. Okay, and our opponent is the sin.
Yeah.
It's another analogy. There's the courtroom analogy where we're just piling, you know, fact after fact after fact after fact.
Yeah.
Well, we're firing jab after jab after jab after jab. Okay, on their own, the jab might not be a knockdown punch.
Yeah.
But one after the other,
Stack them all, yeah.
you know, when you stack them all up, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Okay, so are we noticing a theme? Okay, where is Syro-Palestine or Israel, Jordan compared with Mecca? Is it south or north?
Well, Mecca's down south.
Yeah,
And you got
Palestine and all that.
everything
So
up.
yeah,
up
so
north,
is that is it north of Mecca?
Yeah, north. Yeah.
There's the theme. North again.
Yeah.
See, I want the listeners to see the theme. North, north, north.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a vocabulary problem.
So you're telling me that the original Quran, even though not all words are in Arabic, that there are
the words are not all of the words are in, even though it's written in Arabic.
The actual word,
The word
is something else.
Is something else.
Okay.
Like in the gospel, like for example, there's talakuma or maranatha, right? That's written in Greek.
Talita kumi.
Talakumi. That means rise, come, right?
Yes.
That's written
It's
in
written
Greek.
in Arabic.
No, written in Greek. No, just that word in the gospel,
Yes.
right? It's written in Greek, but it's an Aramaic word,
Got it.
right? So in the
Understand
same,
that, yeah.
So in the same way, these words are written in Arabic,
Wow, okay.
but they're not Arabic words.
I see. Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah.
So, do you think that's a problem?
Yeah.
It's a big problem. Yeah.
Okay. So again, silly question. Is the claim,
There are no silly questions, Jim.
I mean, what I've heard is that the Quran was delivered to Muhammad in a cave
Yes.
by an angel, and
Jibreel,
all of it, Angel Gabriel.
Yeah.
Is that what the claim is?
Yes.
For all of the Quran, like
Yes,
it
yes.
all transpired between what's written in the Quran
Yes.
was pretty much just that
Direct dictation. Yes.
dictation.
Yeah.
But then we're seeing all these things happen,
Yes, that's right.
which is strange.
It is strange.
Unless,
Unless it didn't happen that way.
or Gabriel just was multilingual or whatever.
Maybe, but it's interesting. We'll get this. I don't want to go on a rabbit trail, but later on we're going to see that there are actually multiple Arabic Qurans because of the way Arabic is. There's multiple different versions, and what you're going to notice is that the Muslims have had to play catch up over the years, over the centuries. They'll say something, and then facts come out. Oh, we have to modify our narrative. So they say that it's purely Arabic, not one word, not one letter changed. Then these 7 Qurans, these multiple Qurans come out. Oh, so then there's a tradition that Gabriel revealed it in 7 dialects. All right. Or, as we'll see, the Quran affirms the Bible and the Torah and the Gospel. And then they get Arabic Bibles that are very different to the Quran. Oh, the Bible's corrupted. You see, so they have to chase their tails all the time.
Sure.
And the analogy I use, it's like if you tell a lie, what do you have to do? You have to keep on keep adding to it.
Yes.
And keep inventing because someone says, oh, you tell this lie, and then your parents, it's like our parents, right? We'd lie when we were kids. And then, why is that? Oh,
and we are in the age of the internet now.
Yeah. And then and they'd ask us a question about what we said, and then my dog ate my homework. The teacher says, oh, what's your dog's name? Oh, my dog's name is Fido. What breed of dog is it? Oh, it's a bulldog. Oh, funny, because your dad told me you didn't have a dog. Oh, we bought one last week. You see how that happens? One lie becomes another. And while I'm not saying necessarily that all Muslims are liars, no, what I'm saying is they've had to add stuff to their narrative to explain all these problems.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. And that's a good segue into the next section on like the foreign religion problem.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. Remember we said that the Quran is like a preacher preaching to an audience? It's a lot of the Quran is taken up with attacking or a polemic of the people of the book.
Okay.
You've probably heard that phrase before.
Yeah.
Oh, you people of the book.
Yeah.
Right? Do you know who the people of the book are?
Are they referring to the Jews and Christians?
That's exactly right. They're the Jews and Christians, right? And why would, if it was supposed to be to the Arabs and Muhammad was a prophet to the Arabs, why does it waste so much time on the people of the book, on the Jews and the Christians?
Yeah.
Right? That's one question.
Yeah.
Also, it refers to people that are in the Gospels or in the Bible, right? These characters.
Yeah.
Like Lot or Lut and Nuh or Noah and, Abraham and Musa or Moses, right?
Ishmael
and Yusuf, like Joseph. And apart from the Joseph narrative, it gives no details about those people, right?
Okay.
It just mentions them, right?
Right.
Doesn't give any, and it's almost like the preacher is preaching to an audience, assuming
that they know.
That they already know.
Yeah.
Now, where would you expect to find people that already knew about the biblical characters? Would you expect to find them down in Saudi Arabia, or would you expect to find them up near Palestine or Jordan?
Yeah, up there.
Up there. Which direction is that?
North.
North again. Let me read a quote, all right, from Stephen Shoemaker, all right? He says, the Quran, quote, the Quran regularly invokes these earlier Jewish and Christian traditions in a highly elliptic and compressed manner, requiring its audience to fill in the gaps based on an already existing deeper knowledge of these traditions. It assumes its audience knows the Jewish Torah and the Christian Gospels and many extra biblical traditions as well. Now, here's a problem. The problem with that is that we actually don't have really any evidence outside the Islamic sources that there were any Christians down near Mecca. Okay? What Shoemaker does is he quotes scholars such as Bell, Peters, and even Gerald Horting in 1999. Shoemaker says this, that, quote, although Christianity had literally encircled the central Hijaz, in other words, where Mecca and Medina are, by Muhammad's lifetime, there is no indication whatsoever of a Christian community in either Mecca or Yathrib or anywhere in their vicinity for that matter. Yeah. Despite the fact that some scholars of early Islam and Near Eastern Christianity will routinely assert that Christianity had penetrated the Hijaz by the 7th century, this is generally assumed as a matter of convenience and does not have any evidentiary foundation, unquote. Now, that's page 245. Now, again, anyone who wants to disagree with what... Did I make that up, Jim?
No.
What did I just do?
No, you quoted another...
I quoted a scholar.
Yeah.
And that scholar is building on the work of other scholars.
Yeah.
So my Muslim brothers and sisters, if you don't like what I've said, my challenge to you still stands. Go through, find out where Shoemaker's wrong, read his other scholarship, read the scholarship of Bell and Peters and Horting, show where they're wrong, and put your money where your mouth is and send it to us. Okay? Until that happens, I'm going to go with what Shoemaker says. Now, some people will say, oh yeah, but the Quran, that talks about, no, not the Quran, the Hadith talk about Waraka, who was the cousin of Muhammad's first wife, who was supposed to be a Christian.
Oh.
Right? In Mecca. Now, there's a problem with that. They come from the Islamic sources. When were they written? Were they in the 7th century, or they, when were these? Remember, when were the Islamic sources? Were they contemporary, or were they hundreds of years later?
A couple of hundred years later.
That's right. So should we accept that at face value? I would suggest we shouldn't.
No.
All right. Interestingly, in the earliest traditions, or the earliest accounts of those episodes, and Shoemaker goes into this, they don't talk about Waraka. It's only the later traditions that are written later that talk about Waraka.
Yeah.
So I submit is that this was a later redaction. That's my view. I'm happy to be proven wrong. Anyone who wants to prove me wrong, show me your evidence outside the Islamic narrative that it's a later redaction. Okay? Now, the other problem is that, okay, what did Christians do wherever they went? Wherever Christians went, you know, the early Christians, did they just go there and just do nothing, or did they go there to evangelize? The Christians, what did they do?
They would have, I don't know, built some churches and things.
Churches, what else did they build? You know, monasteries, other things, you know.
Yeah.
And I think we mentioned in a previous video that there was a bishop from Najran that went to the Council of Nicaea.
Okay.
Najran is from South Arabia and in Yemen.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So there were Christians down there. Why were there Christians down there? Because there's water down there. Because there were people down there.
Okay.
You see? Yeah. Wherever there are people. So, wherever Christians went, they built churches, monasteries, and you can actually find them in Yemen. We find remains of churches in Bahrain.
Okay.
Right? There are Christians in Hira in Mesopotamia. There is, and the remains of a Christian monasteries are found in Tabuk and Kilwa in North Arabia. Right? Remember, were there people in South Arabia and North Arabia? There were people there, weren't there?
Yeah.
Why? What was there?
Water.
Very good.
Yeah.
There's water there. You see? It all comes back to that 5-letter word, water.
Yeah. Water, yeah.
Right? And we're going to go into that in one of our other podcasts. So, you know, the fact that these areas have natural water supply makes sense. That's why Christians would be there. So basically, the fact that the Quran spends so much time addressing the people of the book and the Christians, does that tell you that the audience of the Quran was in Mecca, or was the audience of the Quran probably somewhere northwest?
Northwest, most likely, yeah.
That's right, okay? And it's the same pattern. We're seeing the same pattern as in the archaeological and written sources. There's no mention of Mecca, is it? It's just not consistent with Mecca.
No.
Now, I'm going to quote. I'm going to finish off this section with a quote from Shoemaker, where Shoemaker talks about another really renowned French scholar, Guillaume D. Okay, so a lot of the great researchers coming out, Edward Marie Galez, who's a French scholar, also especially Guillaume D.
Yeah.
The Germans are doing some great work. You know, it's a bit of a problem because I don't read. I've got to find their English translations. You know, So Shoemaker talks about Guillaume D, right? And he says, quote, so this is Shoemaker's words referring to Guillaume D. The Quran's Christian content is effectively incomprehensible in Mecca and Yathrib. Incomprehensible in Mecca and Yathrib without the presence of a large and highly literate Christian community. In other words, so without that large Christian community, it just doesn't make sense. That's what incomprehensible means, right? Large, highly literate Christian community, such as we find in Syro-Palestine and Mesopotamia, something along the order of Edessa, Nisibis, or Antioch, as Guillaume D rightly notes. Right?
Yeah.
Now, and that's from page 246. Now, I want to touch on something. Do you remember in our previous podcast, one of the previous podcasts, we talked about the first reference to Mecca outside of the Sin?
Yeah.
741, and I said it was in southern Turkey.
Okay.
Guess where Edessa is? Southern Turkey.
Okay. Right.
You see? See how things are all, and what we're doing, we're attorneys in a courtroom where all these multiple pieces of circumstantial evidence are all pointing in one direction.
Sure. Yeah.
You see? So Edessa is in southern Turkey. The first mention of Mecca, the word Mecca, is also in that general area.
Yeah.
That is closer to Edessa. Edessa is closer to that area of Mecca than Mecca of Saudi Arabia is.
Okay.
Guillaume D is saying that the Christian community around there makes much more sense.
Right.
Right. So basically, my humble submission here is that the fact that the Quran was composed in Mecca just doesn't add up. It doesn't. It's not consistent with the evidence that we see.
Yeah.
So,
very interesting. Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on that, Jim?
Oh, it's a couple of nails, another nail on that coffin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another little torpedo.
Another little torpedo.
Yeah. And I mean, you made the comment previously that there was a big problem do you see? Do you see how? I mean, okay. Let me ask you this: why is this such a big problem for I mean, we might be labouring a point, but it's why is this such a big problem, Jim?
Yeah. Look, Mecca is such a big part of the whole narrative and the connection to Muhammad, Quran. Yeah, you can't just leave it on the side,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's I would say it's a big problem.
Big problem. Beautiful. All right. Yeah. Well, let's finish. Okay.
Then. Yeah. Let's wait to see what our friends say.
Yeah.
Let's see how they react and what they think.
Yeah. And finishing off with a parallel with the Bible, right? You look at the Gospels.
Yeah.
There's really nothing in there that's out of place. It talks about fishing.
Yeah.
It talks about fishing from the Sea of Galilee. It talks about being baptized in the River Jordan. It's a
very historical narrative.
Yeah.
Mixed with the messages.
That's right.
The sermons and the parables and
there's nothing out of place. There's nothing anachronistic. It's not like they're talking about cannons in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it talks about big nets, which they would have known from the sea. It talks about earthquakes, because there was earthquakes around there. It talks about the temple. It talks about sheep. It talks about sowing. All the stuff that is in that area.
Consistent with the area.
Yeah. So that's our contrast.
Okay.
And that's why I think one of the reasons why we can say that the Bible is historically reliable, at least in that sense.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
All right. Thank you once again.
All right.
That's it's amazing what you've been able to compile, and I watched quite a few Muslim apologetic material, but none of them actually cover all this stuff.
No. And no, they don't. And I think this is their biggest problem, their Achilles heel. They haven't engaged with it. And I've had people challenge me. One guy, says, "Oh, let's have a debate." Well, okay, but let's debate this.
Yes. Yeah.
I like the look on your face there.
Yeah.
How do you think they'd go debating this from the Muslim apologists that you've seen?
How are they going to go with it? Don't know.
No, I don't think
they'll have to do a lot of research of their own.
But the research they'll find that will be the stuff I found.
Yes.
So they've got to find stuff that refutes all this.
Sure. Yeah.
And
that's something they can do now if they want.
If it exists.
If it exists.
If the evidence exists. See, remember we've laid on layer after layer after layer. They have to refute everything.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
And I don't think they can.
Sure.
So, and this is just one part of Mecca's problems.
Yeah.
This is one part of one torpedo. We've got other parts of this torpedo.
Yeah. Look, it's the age of the internet, and I think they should give it their best shot and not resort to ad hominem.
Yeah. All right.
As a first response. So
let's see.
Well, thanks again, and let's catch up again.
All right. Sweet.
Do we know what we're talking about next?
We're going to talk about. Okay, what's one of the let's go back to the claims of the sin about Mecca. What is the sin claim? That it's what? That Mecca was what?
The mother of all cities.
Okay, mother of all cities.
Yeah.
And that who went there?
Muhammad was there.
No, who was there early on? Who went there? Remember, it says Abraham went there.
Oh yeah,
we covered that.
Yes.
What is another thing that they claim about Mecca? It was a what?
Fertile area that we have.
And what kind of city was it?
Yeah, what kind of city?
Yeah, it was
big city.
Yeah, I mean, with a lot of
a lot of trade.
A lot of trade. Very good. Yeah. So we're going to keep going back. So we're going to talk about whether or not Mecca was a.
Yeah. Okay.
I call this one the Meccan trade problem.
Okay. Trade. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Let's. Looking forward to that then.
Sweet.
Thank you very much.
All right. Right.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sweet.